Hello, and welcome to the LinkedIn Collective Studio, coming to you from the 71st Cannes Lion Festival of Creativity. I'm Lynn Bader, Senior Director of Agency Development at LinkedIn, and I'm honored to be here today with Alberto Spinelli, EMEA Chief Marketing Officer at Lenovo, and Bria Bryant, CMO of Assembly Global. Before we start our chat, I'd love for you both to tell us a little bit about what you do. So Alberto, why don't we start with you?
I'm responsible for our marketing and communication efforts for both the Lenovo and the Motorola brands in the Europe, Middle East and Africa region. Motorola is a brand acquired by Lenovo a number of years ago, and we are accelerating its ramp in the region.
Great. Bria.
Awesome. I am Bria Bryant, Global CMO at Assembly, and I'm responsible for raising our reputation across the globe.
In this session, we're going to dig into what it really means to be a leader in B2B in today's marketing landscape. We'll also share some statistics from our hot off the press 2024 B2B benchmark report. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. So in our B2B benchmark report launched this week in Cannes, 69% of CMOs said their role had grown in importance in recent times. Does this resonate with both of you? And what do you feel is driving this sentiment? And Alberto, why don't we start with you?
It resonates with me, and it resonates with me because I think that the role of the CMO has been transforming in a role where not only we are in charge of building the brand or keeping the brand equity, but also more and more we are asked to, let's say, support the business, drive sales, find new areas for growth. So I see the role evolving somehow also towards a chief growth officer that, let's say, complements all the rest of the organization, where people have their job to do, salespeople have to sell their products in their lineup and so on. So I think the role of the CMO is evolving from that perspective into also a growth role, but also in a role that, let's say, helps the company exploit all the new technologies and the new ways to get in touch with users, with customers. It's so much more sophisticated being a CMO today than what it was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. Bria, what about you?
Yeah, well, I agree with what Alberto was saying, and I think that also all industries are becoming more and more competitive, and consumers are expecting so much more out of brands, or even our B2B partners are expecting so much more out of agencies, that it's really important for all aspects of the organization to really understand what marketing can bring to the table and believe in it in the same way that we do as marketers. And I do believe that I'm fortunate to work within an agency who does, right? I spend a lot of time with our CFO. I spend a lot of time with our CEOs, and they believe in what we're doing, and they understand how critical it is in order for us to really stand out in the marketplace.
So let's talk a little bit about the role of the CMO. So in what ways do you feel the role of the CMO itself is evolving? What skill sets and attributes do you feel are needed to be the CMO of the future?
If I may start, I think that, well, first of all, I'm an engineer by background. So some people wonder, why are you doing marketing?
Yeah.
But marketing today has become, as I was saying, so much more sophisticated. I think the skills that you need today are, number one, to understand how the media industry works. How does programmatic works? How can you hit a benchmark on a social media advertising network? How can you optimize the dollars that you have using all the technology available? So understanding media is part of the skills, and I think you need some analytical skills to be able to do that. There is always a creative element. I'm a little bit less creative, but you need to know where your gaps are and leverage on people who are better than you on that. But also you need to be able to not only understand the technology, but also be able to elaborate data, crunch the data, and not just reading a report in a superficial way, but deep diving and understand what's behind. Because I think the winners are those who really manage to connect with end users, with customers in the right way, and connecting with customers today with all the noise that there is around you means that you really need to come to them with personalized messages, with an understanding of their business. You need to be relevant to them. So that's why I think you need analytical skills, data skills, and somehow technical skills to be a good marketer.
Interesting. Your background, very interesting. Didn't know that. Bria, what about you when you think about the future?
Yeah, so I actually don't think that the CMO of the future is that different from the CMO of now. I think that there are skills that you need that are just going to allow you to be adaptable and continue to change and evolve as the world continues to change and consumers continue to segment and things like that. And like Alberto, my path is untraditional. I started in PR, and you don't typically see a lot of PR people in CMO roles, but one thing that I've noticed is that the CMO role traditionally was straight up marketing, right? And then it's evolved into more of a business development or growth role. But I'm also seeing now that there's more emphasis on PR. I think because just understanding how consumers are resonating with different brands, you really have to reach them in a different way because they don't necessarily want to be sold to all the time. So it has to feel authentic, and the best way to do that is really through PR and comms. So I think that as a CMO, you really just need to ensure that you remain adaptable, that same adaptability that we ask for from all of the brands that we work with. I think that you need to stay curious. You need to want to learn and continue to learn and stay hungry. I think that you also need to always be human first. And I think you also need to be open to new ways of thinking and new technologies and learn to adapt those into the work that you do every day. So as long as you do all of those things now and in the future, I think that you'll always be set up for success.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about your teams. As a marketing leader, when it comes to building a team that's future ready, what are some of the skills and attributes that you're looking for in the workforce of tomorrow?
First of all, a willingness to evolve and innovate. And Bria was talking about curiosity. Curiosity leads also to innovation. So we need people who are proactive in continuing to propose new things, in understanding what's around them, and they don't just try to do what they've done maybe in a previous company, but they come in with trying to get a fresh mind. But also people who are able to understand all the marketing landscape, all the marketing stack. I mean, if you look at a marketing stack map today, it's quite something that you don't expect people to understand every single bit, but they have to have an idea, and they need to have a good combination of somehow creative skills, but also analytical skills. So proactivity, curiosity, analytical skills, all this matched with creativity that in marketing is always a component.
Yeah. How about you, Bria?
So I agree with what Alberto just said. And for my team in particular, I am looking for generalists when I look to hire someone, but just because I think that they're able to be a little more nimble than people who are hyper-focused on one particular skill. That said, I don't want them to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. They do need to have at least like one specialty area within that, because I think that we're able to hone that skill, it'll help with their career trajectory and all of those things. But because they have more general skills as well, depending on what we need in the business, we're able to pivot a lot faster. And we're not necessarily experiencing any outages if someone goes on maternity leave or something unexpected happens and we need somebody to jump in and do something. So I've been able to find a lot of success in doing that.
Great. And let's talk about leaders of tomorrow. So what skills and attributes do you feel are most important for leaders in the future?
I think that leaders of the future in the marketing field will have to ideally come from a variety of different experiences, including sales. I think, and I've been in sales myself for many years, and a leader in marketing needs to be able to be credible in front of his sales force, not only in front of his customers, but also in front of his sales force. So a variety of experiences, including sales, including some different marketing roles, and maybe some product development roles, gives the modern marketeer more confidence to be a strong leader. And the leader in marketing needs to be able to show competence in understanding the new tech field of marketing as well, but also in understanding the customer needs. I mean, the marketing at the end is the link between the company and the customers, and it's also the collector of all the customer feedback around the products, around the brand, around the company. So leaders of the futures will need to be able to navigate through this complexity, know the world, ideally have international experiences, understanding different cultures, different countries, how people think differently in different places, and be as much open-minded as possible.
All leaders across the board should remain curious. I think there's that childlike curiosity that we should always strive to hold on to. I think that they need to have heart and hunger for the work that we do. I think that they need to be open to embracing new ways of thinking, new technologies, so that they can continue to innovate in their fields. And I think most importantly, they need to be human first. So as long as they do all of those things, I don't know, I think that's the recipe.
Well, with that, we've reached the end of our time together. Alberto and Bria, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with our audience. And thank you to our viewers for watching. Don't forget to download our 2024 B2B Benchmark Report. Take care.